Well, hello, welcome back, welcome back. We are back here for day 3 of the trial recap for the Apple River stabbings in Wisconsin in the USA. It is Wisconsin versus Nicolae Miu, who is currently on trial. Let's put up, to refresh everyone's memory, these are the charges that he's facing. He stabbed 5 people at the Apple River, one fatally. That was Isaac Schuman, 17-year-old boy, and injured the other 4. These are the victims. So Isaac Schuman died at the scene, and the other 4 were stabbed and had major injuries. Now we've heard from Dante Colson, and today we are going to start off with hearing from Tony Carlson, who was also stabbed, which is Dante's brother, Riley Madison, who was also another victim, and AJ Martin. So they're our first 3 witnesses up for the day. And also we have Sandy Miu, which is the defendant's ex-wife, testifying today as well. So now, before we get into the court proceedings, I always like to pay a little tribute to the victim, because they're the ones at the end of the day that are important. So let's do it. All right. So grab your favourite pair of slippers, grab your bevy, and let's get into it, shall we?
Anthony, do you go by a nickname?
Tony,
Tony, how old are you?
24.
And are you Dante Carlson's older brother?
Yes.
What city and state do you live in?
St. Paul in Minnesota.
And do you work?
Yes.
What do you do for work?
I work at a lot for Recovery Industries.
Is that a solar industry?
No, Recovery Industries is a towing company.
Okay. And you were tubing with your brother and other people on July 30, 2022?
Yes.
And at some point, did you notice, were you alerted to something going on the river?
Yeah.
Can you describe what you remember about that?
We were just floating down the river, and then we heard some screaming across the river, and then eventually I do remember them yelling for help. And at first we sat there for a moment, and then my father said to go over there and help, or like de-escalate the situation. And as I was going over there, I mean, I saw someone get hit, someone screamed, "Don't hit a girl," and then everything else ensued.
And did you actually go over there and try to de-escalate, break things up?
Yes. As I went over there, I started yelling at people to back up and get away. I don't remember exactly who I was yelling at. I know I was yelling at everyone in the situation, not just one side or the other.
And Tony, were you drinking on the river?
Yes.
And if your medical records say your BAC was 0.119, would that sound about right?
Yes, I don't know exactly, BAC and how it works.
Okay. Do you think you're intoxicated?
Yes.
I would like to. Do we have a flash drive with the slides? Do we have a flash drive with the slides? I want to go through some frames with you.
1831 on there. It's a layout right now.
I'll let you know when I'm ready. Okay. This is frame 2556. I'm just going to scroll through a little bit. Stopping at 2563. Do you see yourself in that image?
I do.
And which one are you?
Wearing the jean shorts in the back in front of Quentin Carlson and behind AJ Martin.
Okay. You're just walking up at this point?
Yes, trying to figure out what's going on. I just heard a bunch of yelling and such.
All right. You can mute the screen. All right. This is frame 2779. I'm going to scroll through and then ask you some questions. I'm going to stop at 3010.
See that slice right up his stomach.
Actually, I'm going to pause here at 2826. Is that you walking by?
Yes.
And 2844. Looks like you're getting between Mr. Miu and the guy filming.
Yes.
And you what did you say you're yelling at people to do?
I was yelling at them to back up and get away.
It looks like I'm on 2900. It looks like up to this point, your attention was to somebody off to the right. Now you're turning back towards Mr. Miu.
I was turning back towards the group, yeah, to see who else needed to be, if anybody was still escalating anything or what was going on. I was just trying to separate everyone.
And I'm gonna back up here. At 2924, looks like you're pointing and yelling something in the direction of Mr. Miu.
Yeah. From my recollection, I saw him like walking up towards the others. So I was going to him to tell him to stop and to walk away or get away.
Mr. Anderson, I'm having a little bit of hard time hearing you.
Oh, sorry.
Either use the mic or speak up, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
And what are you doing at this point in the video?
There was a lot of yelling going on, and I was telling him to walk away, but it looked like he was walking up to the girls in my group, so I was trying to get his attention, so I just put my hand on his back.
For the record, I paused there at 2958. So after you put your hands on his back, telling him to walk away, what happened?
At the time, I thought he was going in to try and punch me, so I tried to hit his hand down, and then, he went at me again.
And were you actually able to hit his hand away the first time?
Yeah, I knocked it down, and then I have a scar right here from when I knocked it down. The knife hit and just scratched. And then after that, he came again and stabbed me. And like I said, at the time, I didn't know. I thought it was just a punch.
Did you realize anyone was getting stabbed at that point?
No.
So what kind of fight did you think you were breaking up?
I just thought it was, something other, like they were yelling at each other about something. I didn't know exactly what, but I was just trying to de-escalate it.
And did you see Madison Cohen get punched?
I didn't see necessarily her get punched, but I did hear, "You don't ever hit a woman."
Permission to approach?
Yes.
Showing you it's been marked as Exhibit 35. What is that?
That is the scar from when I blocked the knife down.
And is there something above that?
Yeah, the stab wound.
So I'd move to admit and ask to publish, Judge.
Okay, it's received. Go ahead and publish.
I'm going to do it on my computer. I'll let the clerk know when I'm ready. All right, can we show my screen? So you said one time you kind of blocked it. Which injury is that on here?
The lower one.
The one that kind of looks like a V?
Yep.
And then
Yes.
did one strike actually penetrate?
Yes.
And where's that one?
Under the bandage there.
It looks like, is this after you're at the hospital?
This is right as I'm leaving the hospital, yes.
If you know, does it look like it's bleeding through the Band-Aid, or is that just the tone of the Band-Aid, do you know?
No, it was bleeding a little bit through the Band-Aid from the stitches.
Thank you. Did you do you remember ever seeing a knife in Nicolae's hand?
No.
And have you watched and listened to the portion of the video that I just went through with you?
Yeah, if you would like, you can play it again.
Do you hear yourself in that video saying back up or get back, something like that?
I believe I do, yeah.
I want to show you that part of the video. Okay, could I have the screen, please?
He ain't a woman. He ain't a woman. Yo, they a woman. He ain't a woman. You got him.
Okay. And I'm going to go back to the frames. While I'm doing this, Tony, is it fair your memory is not perfect from that day?
No.
Is there a lot you don't remember?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on 2942. Let's scroll through. So at this point, 2959, are you off screen to the right?
Yes. I can see my left hand and right over his shoulder.
Okay. And you don't know the guy's name who's filming, right?
No.
Okay. So you got the, I'm just going to put a C for.
Sure, a package of fresh markers and yeah, open them up and use them.
Don't skimp on the marker, Judge.
I'm just gonna put a C for cameraman, fair?
Yeah.
And so if that camera is facing that way, and then you got the frame. You got you somewhere there, and you're somewhere off to the right of the frame.
Can I
we
see
have the
the?
screen back up?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is correct.
I just put a T for Tony, but I wrote it sideways. Want to keep
Did you see the diagram?
I'm going to keep scrolling here.
All that to establish that he's standing just to the right side of the frame.
Now, at 2993, those aren't your hands, are they?
No.
Do you know whose they are?
Now I do, yes.
Okay. At the time, you didn't know who that was?
No.
Now you know it to be Isaac, but you had no
Yes.
idea who it was.
At the moment.
So, would he have been kind of just to your left?
It seems, yeah.
Foundation.
Sustained.
A few frames ago, you were off. Were you off frame to the right?
Yes,
Isaac here is off frame to the right.
yes.
Objection, he has no foundation, he doesn't have a memory.
If I,
Well, hold on.
I'll
Sustain on foundation, but I think the questions are being framed in a way that's leading us to this place.
Sure.
If you can just rephrase your questions, it might help.
Judge, I'll just move on.
All right.
You can take it down. So I forgot to ask you a clarifying question about the V-shaped wound. So do you remember how his hand came at you when you kind of blocked it away?
I mean, it went like this, but at first, I mean, I just thought it was a punch. I think he was just going for a low jab, but I tried hitting it down with my arm, and then he came back up.
The second one is the one that got you higher.
Yes.
Do you remember telling law enforcement that after Nicolae stabbed you, you punched him?
I do.
And is that on the video?
No.
Do you believe you're mistaken on that?
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Mr. Nelson?
So you said you were intoxicated, is that right?
Yes.
You were with some of your family and other friends, correct?
Yes.
You were there on the river celebrating, correct?
For my father's birthday, yes.
You were also there with Madison Cohen,
Yes.
celebrating her birthday as well?
I mean, I came there for my father's birthday.
Understood. Yeah, no judgment in it, but others were celebrating her birthday, correct?
Yes.
She was celebrating her own birthday, correct?
Yes.
There's a photo that I think we've seen of the 10 of you.
All right. As I said yesterday, the defense basically just goes down word for word the testimony that he's just given and the testimony that he made on the day of the incident when he was at the hospital. And if one word is different, then they question him on it for 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. I know they're doing their job, but it's very repetitive and they do it with every witness. And we've got a lot of witnesses to get through today. So this is a recap after all. So let's get on to Riley. Riley is the next witness, and she was also stabbed. And this is at 124. Right there. Let's keep going.
Please
So
have a
this
seat
is
in
the
the
lady
witness chair.
that's in the bikini that came up to Mr Miu with Maddie Carlson
Mr. Anderson.
and confronted him.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell both?
Riley Madison, RYHLEY MATTISON.
And Riley, how old are you?
I am 25,
And how tall are you?
5'5",
And how much do you weigh?
about 110 pounds.
Like
And
me.
were you about the same in July of 2022?
Maybe 115.
Yourself
Were
a go, love.
you tubing on the river that day with friends?
I was.
And were you drinking alcohol?
I was.
Using any other substances?
I was smoking marijuana.
And do you believe you're intoxicated?
I do, yes.
Was that your first time tubing on the river?
I've been on the river before, but I've started at different points with friends, so I've never really been on that part of the river.
Okay. If your medical records say, well, let's see. What do you remember at some point along the river that something catching your group's attention?
Not specifically mine. I was just kind of hanging out with my friends on the tube, and we had stopped. And so I kind of asked why we were stopping. And I heard somebody mention something about a group looking uncomfortable. I hadn't got off right away, so.
Did you walk over after some other folks?
I did. I kind of was like, what's going on? And then I had told Janelle, like, let's kind of go over there and see what's going on.
And what do you remember everything sequentially perfectly, or is it?
It's very choppy for me.
Okay. So what do you remember next?
I remember getting off the tube, walking up to Mr. Miu, and I just remember Maddie being there and yelling at him. I remember her being punched in the face, and then I remember being stabbed, and that is completely it.
So you don't remember, did you see or don't you remember anyone else stabbed?
No,
Then do you know if it's because you don't remember, or you didn't see, or?
I think I was just focused on myself, doing what I was doing. I was not really paying attention to anybody else at all.
And
Fair enough.
when you saw Madison get punched, can you explain that in as much details as you remember?
I barely really remember that part. I just remember him staring at us and then not saying anything and punching her. And I was just like shocked, like, oh my God. And that right after that, I literally remember being stabbed, and that's it. So.
With him punching her, do you remember any more details than that? Like what hand he used
No,
or how the
not at
punch
all.
was?
Not at all.
And what else do you remember about you getting stabbed?
I just remember seeing Nick's face very blank and not lunging at me, but just kind of poking me. And I held my side and I was like, ow, like, Janelle, I think he punched me. That really hurt. Like, and I looked down and I was bleeding out and holding my stomach, and it just like didn't feel real. Like, it was just a lot of shock. And from there, I was walking around the river asking for help, like just asking somebody to help me. I told Q that I felt like I was dying because I just was losing so much blood. And every time I'd walk, I just felt like I was getting weaker and weaker. So another group down the river had put me on a tube and kind of pushed me down to kind of get away from the scene. And then they were holding my side and just kind of keeping me awake. And then when the cops had showed up, they took me off of the tube and put me on the ground. And I just remember like Janelle coming over, you know, asking me to stay awake, and the cops trying to ask me what my name was, and then just being put in the ambulance and going to the hospital.
And when you touched your side, do you remember feeling anything?
No, I thought I was punched or something. I didn't really know. I wasn't really paying attention, and it really didn't hurt. But when I looked down, I was instantly like, I believe I was holding my stomach. I think Janelle was coming to help me to hold my stomach and hold my side. And then just blood kind of going. And I didn't want to look down because it freaked me out. And I didn't really want to touch it either because I just didn't want to feel anything. So I kind of just barely held my hand on it. I just didn't want to feel it.
Do you remember telling law enforcement that you felt like something was coming out of the wound when you touched it?
I don't remember that.
And did you have any, so after you were brought on the tube to shore, you said people were telling you to stay awake.
Yeah, like just asking me asking questions and like my name, like who are you, just kind of what's going on, anything that would make me stay awake. And I just remember being super tired, and I'm like, I just want to be left alone.
Did you have trouble breathing at all?
Not right away, slowly but surely I did. And then once I got in the ambulance and actually got to the hospital, I like felt like I couldn't breathe at all. But it took a little time before that to actually like happen for me. I don't know if I didn't realize it right away, but.
And where were you brought, if you remember, when you were brought to shore? Were you brought to the grass, the pavement?
I was laid right on the blacktop because I remember saying, oh my God, like this burns my back. I remember the bridge, so I know it was right before like the bridge, but I don't like know exactly where, but I know it was up right on the asphalt, I believe on the road that like the cops would drive on and the ambulance and everything.
And were there officers or an officer there with you?
I believe I had one officer helping me kind of put pressure on my side and talking to me, yes.
Permission to approach?
Yes.
Anyone that's been marked as Exhibit 68. Is that?
Hold that up.
Is that a photo, or is that an image of you on the blacktop? Yeah. Should I move to admit and publish 68?
Any objection? 68 is received. Go ahead and publish.
I'm going to do it digitally.
Did you mean on your laptop?
Yes. I'll tell you when I'm ready. Okay.
The defendant.
You can take it down. Riley, at some point were you transported away from the scene?
Yes.
Do you remember how?
An ambulance.
Were you brought to a hospital?
Yes.
And did you go immediately into surgery?
I believe so, yes. I just remember the ambulance telling me there's going to be a lot of people asking me questions. And I just remember being put on a bed, and that's literally all I remember. I mean, them asking me kind of, who you are, what's your name, what's your birth date, and I wouldn't answer, and I just kept saying I couldn't breathe. And that was the last thing I remember.
Until after surgery?
Yeah, I barely even remember waking up from surgery.
Permission to approach?
Yes.
Handed you what's been marked as Exhibit 33. What's that?
That is the incision where the doctors had to cut me up to put my stomach back in.
I'd move to admit and publish.
We approach.
Yes.
They've just cut the court feed whilst they're at the bench talking to the judge. They mute the mics. There won't be a second. But she got stabbed in her left side, just under her rib cage, and I believe she had a collapsed lung on that side. So she had a chest tube inserted, and then I think they also had to do emergency exploratory surgery as well, just to see if her bowel was intact and not injured. So she ended up with a massive scar right up the middle as well. So they will show that too. So avert your eyes if you're if that stuff makes you a little bit lightheaded or weak.
Judge, we have no objection to the introduction and evidence of Exhibit 33 and Exhibit 79, and no objection to publication.
All right, so 33 is received and may be published, and 79 is in your hand?
Yes.
All right, 79 is received.
So this is the photo, I think, of her scars. I think they'd be a little bit more organised and have it queued up. There's 3 people at the table there.
All right, can we have the screen? And for the record, this is 79. And Riley, what are we seeing in this photo?
That is, the bigger one is the stab wound, and the little one is from a chest tube.
And how about in this one?
This is the one where they had to cut me open to get my stomach back in.
And so like here where the mouse is, that's from surgery.
That's all from surgery, and then the staples.
And then on over here,
Yep.
what's that?
The incision wound.
This stitch is right here. Is that the stab
Yep,
wound?
that's the stab wound.
The one we looked at?
Prior, yep.
Okay. Oh, and are you, in the photo, are you taking this in a mirror?
Yes,
So which side is the wound actually on?
on my left side.
So it's reversed in this photo?
Yes.
You can turn off the screen. And I think you testified that you remember him looking at you and then reaching over. Do you recall telling law enforcement you don't remember if you hit him or said something to make him angry?
I do remember saying that. I think I was trying to maybe find a reason why he did what he did to me. Or, you know, after he had hit Maddie, if I had maybe put my hands on him because he had hit Maddie. I think I was just finding a reason.
Do you, from what you remember of being stabbed, do you have any memory of actually hitting him or saying anything?
I don't remember saying anything, hitting him, touching him, nothing.
I'm going to go through some slides with you. There's some still frames from the video.
Today, Junior.
All right, I'm on 2496. I'm ready. Riley, are you in that photo or that image?
Yes,
Okay. Is that your arm there?
yes.
Okay. Can you turn off the screen? I'm going to go to a different one. All right, I'm ready. All right, I'm on 2458, and I'm going to scroll through. And actually, your arm again?
Yes.
Stopping on 2470. What are you doing in this image?
I'm
Touching
not
his
sure if
arm.
I'm just touching his shoulder, if I'm going to push him.
$24.92. Have you removed your hand at this point?
Yes.
Did you see a push?
I mean, kind of like a little, I guess I don't know what to call it, but just kind of maybe brushing his shoulder. I guess a push, yes.
Do you want to see it again?
Objection. Cumulative.
Sustained. Sustained.
He's got the knife in his hand there.
Pausing on 2531. Did you see the knife in his hands when you're standing there?
don't remember.
Is that your,
She's
do
touching with her right hand now.
you know if that's your hand or Maddie's
No,
hand?
that is Maddie's hand.
Okay. How do you tell the nail polish?
Yeah, I don't wear nail polish.
And do you see yourself in that image 2662
I do.
to the left of Dante,
I do.
to the right of Maddie?
Yes.
We mute this, turn off the screen. I'm gonna go to another image. We have the screen. This is 2861. Riley, do you see yourself in this image?
I do.
Where are you?
I am standing right behind Nick Miu.
What color swimsuit?
Blue with flowers.
I'm gonna scroll. Stopping on 2948. Do you see yourself in this image?
I do.
Holding your side?
I do.
And you keep scrolling. And you said one of your friends came to your aid after you were stabbed.
Yes, Janelle.
Is she in this photo?
She is. She is in the black swimming suit.
Okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling. Do you remember retreating or recoiling from Nicolae at that point or no?
What do you mean by that?
In these, I'll back up a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm on 3017.
Like running away?
Yes.
Yes.
That person with the black Reebok
You can turn off the
singlet
screen.
top on is
Thank you.
one of the defendant's friends. Next witness. This is AJ Alexander James Martin. 249.
Please have a seat in the witness chair.
He's got a nasty scar too.
Can you please state I'm going to ask you to state your first, middle, and last name.
Alexander James Martin,
Do you go by a nickname?
AJ.
And AJ, were you tubing with friends on July 30th, 2022 on the Apple River?
Yes, I was.
And you're friends with Tony?
Yeah, we were roommates in college, and then that was the first time we'd seen each other in like 3 years.
Okay. And what college?
River Falls, Wisconsin.
What city and state do you live in now?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
AJ, do you have any prior criminal convictions?
Yes, 2.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a electrical apprentice. I install solar panels.
And how tall are you?
5'9" and 3/4.
And how much do you weigh?
Every inch count?
160 now.
And how much if you know about, on July 30, 2022?
170.
What do you, at some point when you're tubing on the river, did something catch your attention or people's attention that you're with?
Yeah.
What do you recall about that?
Just a lot of loud noises, screaming, yelling, someone asking for help. And then I had seen Maddie get up with someone, and what I remember was getting up, and I think I had got Dante up with me, but then I turned around to also get Tony up, and Dante was over there. I turned back around from trying to get Tony up, and I believe I saw Maddie get pulled in the back of her hair and then punched in the face. It could also be that she just got punched in the face, and I had seen like the after, like her face get flung, and that's why I thought her head got pulled. And then,
so do you recall like how far away you were when you saw what happened to Maddie?
I was probably about halfway in between the groups. Or maybe a little closer to, we're group 2, right? So I would be a little closer to group 1, the teens group.
Still on your way over?
Yeah.
And after that, did you hurry over?
I mean, yeah, I was, after I saw him punch her, I wanted to get over there, but I tried to get over there as fast as I could, I guess.
And what do you recall after that?
Well, after he had hit Maddie in the face, I saw someone else hit him, and I wasn't sure who. I saw him fall into the water, and my intention was, because I used to work at elementary schools and had experience breaking up fights with little kids and stuff like that. So my intention was to go over there and try and break it up. I saw him in the water, and I saw people going around him. So I went to push his shoulder in the front, but ultimately didn't. But I was going to try and just get him to stay down for another second and then tell everyone to back up, and then we could have figured out what was going on. But as I reached down to push him in the shoulders, he reached up and I guess, I don't know if you call it a stab, but got me with the knife.
What was your injury?
Well, there was a lot, I guess. The most apparent thing, obviously, was that my stomach was open and my intestines were in my hands. I don't know what other parts were there, but I mean, they were in my hands, and I know that from there, but afterwards with like the medical records and stuff, I know other injuries. I don't know if you want me to go into that or not.
Did you, after you're holding your intestines, did you see much of anything after that?
Not much. I mean, after that, I remember screaming pretty viscerally, I think is the word. And then I remember kind of scooping it together with my left arm and putting my right arm down and standing up, and then falling down and standing up again. And I think I fell down and stood up one more time. And then I was kind of, I mean, I was still conscious. I was talking. But after that, really all I remember is that, and then telling Tony that I was going to die, and him telling me I was going to be fine and that I wasn't. And my response every time was like 100%, I'm going to die today. And then I remember waking up in the hospital with a breathing tube and my parents looking at me.
And do you know how long you're in the hospital for that first time?
Yeah, 27 days.
And after, when you woke up the first time, was that after surgery?
Yeah, it was around 11:30 that night, I believe.
Did you have follow-up surgeries?
A few, yeah.
Was your wound stitched closed right away?
No. They put what they call a wound vac on it. I assume that acts as kind of like a fake flesh or skin. And they left that on for about a week, doing other exploratory surgeries just to make sure that they didn't miss any other lacerations or injuries. And then after almost a week or so, they had done internal stitches, but left the top open so that it would heal better, and they put another smaller wound vac over that.
Did you have to have any sort of devices to assist with digestion, eating, feeding?
Yeah, I had a few feeding tubes, some NG tubes to help with just the extra fluids in my stomach.
NG tubes, nasogastric. So basically, I did nursing for over 8 years, but anyway, and I worked in ICU and coronary care as well. So because his abdomen was open and exposed and his intestines were on the outside, they would have had to have completely washed out his abdomen, cleaned it, sterilized it to make sure that there was no risk of peritonitis. And obviously, yeah, at the tiniest little nick in a bowel in your intestine can cause huge infections, because obviously it's fecal matter at various stages of digestion. So if that's leaking into your abdomen, you will obviously get infections. The nasogastric tube, because of the trauma that your intestines receive, they sort of go into shock and they stop working. So you get a fluid buildup in your stomach and in your upper intestinal area. So they put the nasogastric tube in, and that generally just drains that fluid out so that it doesn't make you sick, make you want to vomit, basically. Now, the vac dressings that he's talking about, it's basically like a very fine foam type material, and it's got all sorts of different, healing wound dressing treatments and healing components to it. And you pretty much cut it to size and you insert it inside the wound itself, and then you seal it over the top with another tube out the side, but it's got to be airtight. And they use generally like the opsites or the clear, the second skin type waterproof dressings over the top of that, and everything has to be waterproof. And then you turn the machine on to a certain level of pressure, and it basically does what the vacuum bags when you put your clothes in a vacuum bag to store them. It pretty much does that, and it sucks everything together. So the edges of the foam dressing and the open wounds and the muscle and the tissue all start to granulate and create new growth and new tissue. So then you gradually, every few days, reduce the size of that foam, and it sort of heals from the inside out. But it's under pressure, so any drainage or other fluids, they'd be constantly monitoring what's coming out of that tube that's connected to that drain, because if it's purulent or looks like fecal matter, then they would have to go back in and find where that's leaking from. So he would have had multiple follow-up surgeries just to check. And also they do what's called a debridement. So any living tissue heals better than older tissue. So what they can do is just cut the edges of the wound a little bit, and then that makes a fresh, open area ready to knit together again. That makes sense. There's my my little tip for the day.
Stomach. But yeah, I had the feeding tube because after the surgeries, I had developed a hematoma in my intestine, and it was
Yeah, he's saying that he developed a bruise in his intestine, where it's basically you get just a blockage. Yeah, so you can't orally take any liquids or solids. So he would have had a central line either through down his neck, down his clavicle, and they would have had all sorts. They would have had antibiotics running and pain relief running, and the other one is that what's called an enteral feeding. So they would have had the dietitian works out exactly how many mils per kilogram per hour, and you run that nutritional liquid through the central line. So it doesn't go through your digestive system, it goes straight into your vein.
completely blocked off. There was no food, no water, and the IV nutrition wasn't doing enough. I had lost 50 pounds in that 27-day stint.
AJ, were you drinking on the river that day?
Yes.
Do you believe you're intoxicated?
Probably, yeah.
Do you recall how you got to shore?
No, not really. I didn't know that I did really. I just remembered the standing up and the falling down, and then I know people did move me in the end, but I don't remember it. I couldn't see or feel anything at that point.
And you don't remember well, let me ask, do you remember much of anything or anything from the point where you're on shore till you wake up in the hospital?
No, I think I had lost too much blood at that point. I mean, in the past, I've lost a lot of blood from an injury when I was younger, and I lost sight and vision. I lost sight and hearing from that too. So I know that like once you do lose enough, certain parts stop working because your body's trying to keep you alive, not your senses.
You talked about an artificial skin that you had on at the hospital.
Oh yeah, the wound vac.
Yes.
All right, let's see if we can get to Let's go to this bit here.
You were attacking him.
I wasn't attacking him.
Okay.
It's a
And
defense.
intentionally turned to have you behind him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I'm just saying that that's what happened.
Okay. So again, you're behind him, correct?
In sort of on his side until he
This
starts.
is you with your left hand on his back shoulder
Yeah,
and his
but
right hand on his back shoulder. You're behind him, correct?
yeah, I have both hands on one shoulder. If I would, I'm not completely behind him. You can see I'm somewhat on the side, but yes, I am somewhat behind him due to his repositioning.
You're pushing him, correct?
Yeah, that's where I had said that I thought I'd push him in the front left shoulder to keep him down, but I was there too late, so I didn't get that shoulder. I guess I got the back of it, and
You said you're a peacemaker, right? You like to mediate?
yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
You can understand how somebody who'd been down in the water and hit 2 times, getting pushed from behind, may not understand that you're trying to mediate. Goes to his mindset.
Overruled. You answer the question. If you're able to.
Sorry, what was the question?
Sure. As somebody who likes to mediate and was attempting to mediate, you can understand how a person in Mr. Miu's position who'd been hit twice in the water might not understand or appreciate your intent to try to de-escalate by pushing him in the behind.
Sorry,
I
Might
guess.
misunderstand that, right?
He could misunderstand that.
Sure.
I mean, could have been solved if he tried to use words at all too.
Could have. And let me
Oh.
just go from 2745 to 2747. Do you see that? That's you still, that's your body behind him, correct?
Yes.
That's your right hand on the right side of his back, correct?
Yeah.
That's your left hand on the left side of his back, correct?
I'd say right's more in the middle, but the left one is definitely on his left shoulder.
And that's your roommate's brother, who is your friend Dante Carlson. That's his hand that we can see underneath your underarm there. That's hitting Mr. Miu, correct?
Like I said, I didn't see it, but the video showed it. So I mean,
So your
based
face,
off of memory, I can't say yes.
okay, your face is right there, and you're saying you didn't see Dante hit Mr. Miu there.
No, like I explained, my hair was down in front of my eyes. It's wet. My hair's thick and black, so it's not super easy to see through.
What you did say is Mr. Miu wasn't saying anything. You could agree that in this position, with somebody pushing him from behind and somebody hitting him in the front, it might be a difficult time to use your words to make peace.
Yeah, the right time to use your words would have been before he punched a woman in the face.
We can get to that later.
Nice answer.
You extend your body in an attempt to push him down, as you say, correct?
Well, I was pushing down and then he got up and I fell forward. So
I was asking about your intent. Your intent was to push him down in the water, agreed?
it was to push his shoulder down so that he stayed down and I could tell everyone to back up. Yes.
You agree. Your intent was to push him down and keep him in the water.
Hold him down.
To keep
Not-
him down. If the water, I mean, if the ground
Not
was
drown
there, I
him.
would have done the same thing. I wasn't worried about there being water or not. It was shallow. His head wasn't going below. He was going to be okay.
You can understand how perhaps somebody in the position getting pushed from behind in the water might not appreciate that you were trying to protect him and keep him okay,
For the
right?
third time, asked and
I
answered.
guess.
His head appeared to be getting wet there.
Not his face. That's where your mouth is. I see maybe the right cheek
Yes,
dip in a little bit, but as soon as
asshole.
go a few slides further and you'll see his head sit back up again.
Sure. Safe
I
as can be, right?
Hang on. You probably didn't hear it. Let's go again.
Here's the thing, asshole.
I love Nicholas.
I don't know.
It is. Yeah, please let's focus on the facts.
Sure.
Clean Q&A, please.
Just back up a little bit more here. When you said his head didn't go in the water. Fair to say that's his head making a wave, correct?
I would say that's his back making a wave and his
Okay.
head still not in the water.
Have you ever fallen back after getting laid out in the water like that?
Yeah, I have.
Did it feel like maybe the water was coming up on you, even if it technically didn't?
No, I mean, water usually has a pretty distinct feeling on your skin. I mean,
And when you had that experience where you got laid out and fell back into the water, did someone come up and attack you a second time in that situation?
Sustained.
So I'm going to go forward back to the position where we
Go
were
forward
before.
back or back forward?
So again, you'd said here at 2754, you're attempting to keep him down and he manages to move away from you, the person who's pushing him somewhere in the back area, right? Yes?
yes, I was
Yeah,
trying to
this is
push him in the front
unfortunate.
left shoulder, and I got the back left shoulder.
Sure.
Because
So this is AJ here, and this is I think it's Dante. So, and you can see Mr. Miu's under here. So unfortunately, when AJ stands up and Nicolae Miu stands up, as he stands up, you watch his arm, it goes to stab AJ here,
he was getting up, and I was not fast enough to get the.
and as
Okay.
as he's done that, he has fallen. Now I've lost my spot. He has fallen forward as Mr. Miu's fallen backwards, and the knife continued upwards. Let's go back to where we were, because I'm an idiot. Go back. Go back. Where was it? 249. Come on. Oh, this is what I was looking for before.
Actually, make it faster to just untuck it.
That's nasty.
Stops right there.
Nasty.
Little gap there because it hit my ribs, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, this is the bit.
Is this person, you knew what Dante looks like, correct?
Yes,
Is that Dante in the two-tone gray shorts with the truly in his hand?
I believe so. Yeah.
And then that's the same person that's legs are right there, correct?
Correct.
So you and Dante are standing very near Mr. Miu as he's beginning to try to get up out of the water, correct?
Correct.
And as he begins to get up out of the water, you move towards him, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
With a
didn't
knife?
know that he had a knife, correct?
Nope.
Right
You were
there.
going at him, correct?
I don't know. I don't remember anything after
You're,
the first push.
this is where you're trying to, you push him down again, correct?
I would say we kind of attacked each other at that one, if anything. But I mean,
Okay.
I don't remember this, so I can't
Okay.
tell you.
But
I didn't. He got me before I did anything to him. So
There we go.
this is your hands on him, agreed?
okay, maybe my hand is on his arm. Yeah.
This is you, as you said, attacking him, correct?
I
Open
didn't
hand,
mean
not a
attacking,
fist.
sorry.
Those are the words that you used to the jury. Is
I mean,
you were attacking him.
I wasn't attacking him.
Okay. You were trying to push him down in the water.
I was trying to separate or get him isolated so that we could separate everyone else from him. So we could get everyone away and then we could figure out what was actually going on. Because you hear teenagers asking for help. You hear people yelling that he's a whatever. And at that point, and you see minors, you're going to be more worried about getting him away from them before you ask the questions.
And you chose to do that by using your hands on his body to push him, correct?
Got a punch?
Yes?
I tried to keep him down with my arms, yes. And then I was going to tell everyone to back up and give him some space.
So as you said, you're not a fighter, correct?
Yes.
You were trying to mediate, correct? All right.
Sustained. We've been through this before. Let's move on to a new topic. please.
You'd heard that people calling him a predator, correct?
I don't know what I heard. I heard them saying stuff about a little girl, and I don't know what else it was. I don't know. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know if there was a girl in that group. I wasn't worried about whether or not there was. I was worried about getting the person that they were calling a pedophile or a raper away from the minors. You can have a conversation about that later.
You agree that even though you're not, as you say, you're not a fighter, you pushed a man from behind while your friend was smacking him in the front. Agreed?
I would.
Hold on. Sustained. We've been through this before.
Yeah.
Many times. Please.
You have an
Please. I am speaking.
I'm sorry.
Please move to a new topic.
I apologize, Judge. I thought you were done. Do you have any explanation as to why you pushed him while your friend was hitting him if you're not a fighter?
Objection, Judge.
I already answered
No,
this.
please.
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Was it because you got caught up with the crowd?
It was because I couldn't see the person in front of me because my hair was blocking my vision, and I was focused on the man who had just punched a 23-year-old or 22-year-old girl in the face.
That's all.
Mr. Anderson?
Nothing else.
Sorry, this deserves
You should off you fuck.
well said. All right. Next witness. All right, I'm going to put this next witness on just briefly, only because I want you to see how to pronounce her surname. The first name is
What
Gabriella.
I'd like to do is get as far as we can, and then we'll break for lunch close to you. Let me know when the lunch arrives. Okay.
Come on.
Let's fight this.
Glasses.
From me to you.
Now I've got you.
RAEI.
There you go.
Testimony you are about to give this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Smesta.
Would you please say your name and spell your name for us, please?
My name is Gabriella Khazray Nazimpour, and how to spell Khazray Nazimpour is KHAZRAEINAZMPOUR.
Alphabet.
How old are you?
25 years old.
What do you do for a living?
How's
What?
that?
What do you do for a living?
For
I work
signature?
as a phlebotomist at Octapharma in Maplewood.
Where do you live? What town?
I live in Centuria, Wisconsin.
Were you part of a
Basically, she's just not just, but she's another witness, and she just tells her version of events. And she actually was one of the 13 people that called 911. So, next witness is Mrs. Miu. I just do a bit of a recap, and let's get to Mrs. Miu. 507. Okay. Go from here.
Ms. Miu?
All right. Is she outside? She's outside, Judge.
Now, what they had to do, I'll just explain with Mrs. Miu. Even though they're divorced now, when you're subpoenaed for a testimony and you're a spouse of the the defendant, you can call your right to spousal privilege, basically, which means that you do not have to testify against your spouse if it's deemed a private conversation, and it could be incriminating. So what they've done prior to, this is the voir dire at 5:07. I'll skip to her testimony, but basically they go through the judge. Both sides go through all the questions that they're going to ask. The judge will rule what questions they can and can't ask, and which doesn't impinge on the spousal privilege. So when she does her testimony, you'll see that they are very limited in what they can actually ask her, and they don't really get a great deal out, but that's why. So 5:23, let's get to that. And they didn't divorce because of this. It was financial reasons to protect assets, apparently. Why does it do that? Silly mouse. 5:23. And play. Go. So that's her husband, the defendant, Nicolae Miu. Miu. I say meow because I got cat.
All right, please be seated. Welcome back, members of the jury. We are ready to continue with the next witness. Who is that witness, Mr. Anderson?
So, as I said, they've already done the full line of questioning, but they do it outside the presence of the jury. And so now they repeat the process.
Mr Miu.
Ms. Miu, would you please come forward? Please face the clerk, raise your right hand, and she'll administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you will give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name?
Sandra Miu.
And Sandra, do you work?
No,
What city and state do you live in?
I live in Lakeville, Minnesota.
And obviously you know Nicolae Miu.
Yes,
Where did you two meet?
at work.
And is that Ritchie Engineering?
Yes,
She doesn't look very happy, does she?
Were you tubing with Nicolae on July 30, 2022?
yes.
Were you with a group of people?
I'm sorry, what?
Were you with a group of people?
Yes,
Permission to approach?
Yes.
I'm handing you, it's been marked as Exhibit 12. You can take it. Are those the people you were tubing with?
yes.
Okay. Move to admit and publish.
Any objection to 12?
No objection. And Sandra, can you see that? Do you go by Sandy or Sandra?
Sandy.
Okay. Far left person, who's that?
It's Ariel.
And how do you know Ariel?
He's Ernesto's nephew, and Ernesto used to work with us.
Okay. How many times were you and Nick, or just Nick, close friends with Ariel, just met him?
We sort of were close friends with him. We'd go over to Amy and Ernesto's house, and he would be there.
Okay. And how about the woman next to Ariel?
I don't know her very well. That's Ariel's girlfriend.
Okay. And then guy third from right.
I don't know him. That was the first time he had been there.
Okay. And then that's Nicolae next to fourth from right.
Yes.
Okay. Where are you in this photo?
I'm in the inner tube in the middle.
Okay. And then where's Ernesto?
Ernesto is in between Amy and Rosie.
Okay. Maybe I'll go back. You can see. Can you still see it?
Yeah, sorta.
Okay. And who's Rosie?
Rosie is Ernesto's sister.
And how do you know Ernesto and Rosie?
I know Ernesto because we worked with him. Rosie's been over at his house when we would go over there.
Okay. How long have you known Ernesto?
I don't even know, 10 some years, probably maybe a little bit more.
10 to 15?
Yeah, I'd go 10 to 15.
Okay. You and Nick, would you socialize with them a lot?
Yes, we'd go to their house.
Would they come to your house?
Yes,
Okay. So decent, close friends?
yes.
How about Amanda or Amy?
That's Ernesto's wife.
Okay. You knew her pretty well too?
Yes,
And Tatiana, did you know her?
I only knew her a little bit. I met her a couple of times when we'd go over to Amy and Ernesto's house.
Okay. And
And same with Peachy. I only met him when we'd go over there. And I only met him maybe 3 times.
Okay. And that's what you know him as, Peachy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
When you were tubing in the beginning, did Nicolae have a knife on him?
I don't know if he did when we were tubing.
In the beginning, at the start?
He only did to cut the strings on the tubes. He went back to the Jeep and I thought he put it away.
Okay. And as you guys were tubing, so you didn't see him put it there, you just thought he put it in the Jeep when he went back to the Jeep?
Yes,
And is that what he brought it for, to cut the string?
yes,
So you could tie up at the beginning?
yes. And
Okay.
actually, Ernesto called Nick and asked him to bring it.
Okay.
So he could cut the string.
Did your group stop on the way? Did you stop anywhere on the way while tubing?
While we were tubing,
No, did you stop?
before we got there,
Yeah, did you stop somewhere to eat or
No.
hang out on a beach or anything like that?
no,
Do you remember telling law enforcement you stopped and you were eating for like 30 minutes or so and using the bathrooms?
that was why we were tubing.
What do you mean? Can you explain that?
We were tubing down the river and there was a spot that is covered where they must have played a band or something there once in
Okay.
a while. It was on the river while we were tubing. We stopped to eat.
Gotcha. You thought I was asking about before tubing.
Yes,
Okay, sorry. And did Nicolae have snorkel goggles with him?
yes,
And was he snorkeling by a group of young guys at one point?
I don't know. He just took the snorkel and went out there.
Did you see him by a group of young guys at some point?
I did later
Okay.
when the incident started.
And was there actually a couple times that Nicolae went over to that group?
That I don't know for sure.
Did you tell law enforcement that he went over there twice?
I know I think he went to that group, he came back. And then I didn't know he went back to that group until later I saw him over there.
Okay. So he had gone to the group of the young guys, came back, And then at some point he went back there, but you didn't see him go back there again.
No, I didn't keep track of him.
Okay. How long was he back that you remember before you noticed he was gone again?
I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know for sure.
Do you remember saying maybe 10 minutes?
I may have.
And then when he went, Judge, can we approach?
Yes.
Yeah. As you can see, it's very, very limited questions that they can get from her and very, very limited answers. And she really doesn't provide any insight whatsoever. So, without further ado, I'm actually going to skip the next witness because it's again repeating the same story over and over, and he isn't very credible. He forgets a lot and doesn't understand. And yeah. So we'll go to witness number 7, Sheena Lowell. Can't remember what her testimony was, but we'll give it a whirl.
The attorneys are present. Mr. Miu is present. We're ready to continue. Mr. Anderson, who is the next witness? I'm sorry, what was the name? Lowell. Okay.
Oh,
Ms.
not
Lowell?
Lowell. Sorry.
Please come forward.
There's my Aussie accent coming through there.
Yep, keep going. You're good. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She will
Right,
administer
fair
the
colour.
oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Please have a seat in the witness chair.
I like her boots too.
Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name?
Sheena Lowell, Lowell,
Sheena, where do you currently live?
Nebraska,
And did you used to live closer to the area?
Wisconsin, yes.
When did you move?
2 years ago.
And may I approach?
Yes.
So this is 26A. Were you with these folks tubing on the river on
Yes.
July 30,
Yes.
2022? And did you actually take this photo?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And then is that you kind of cropped in there on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay. Were you in a relationship with Quentin at the time?
Yes.
Okay. So that was your connection to other people in the group?
Yes.
Are you and Quentin current, or have you guys separated since?
Yes.
And have you had contact with anyone from that group since you and Quentin separated?
No.
Sheena, do you have any prior criminal convictions?
Yes.
How many?
3.
On July 30, 2022, were you drinking?
No.
You were sober?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you just never drink, or were you a sober driver that day, or?
I'm a
Yes.
recovering alcoholic.
Okay.
Oh.
And at some point along the tubing route, did something catch your group's attention?
We were coming around, it looked like a bend on the river, and a group of younger kids were screaming for help.
And what do you remember after that?
I remember as we were getting closer, they were yelling, "Help, please get this person away from us." The kids in our group got up off of the tubes, walked over to get in between to get him away from them.
And do you recall who the first ones that walked over were?
Madison,
And did Madison make contact with the gentleman or speak with the guy?
she was pointing downriver, just saying, get away, go, leave them alone.
Okay. And what happened after that you remember?
They all were basically doing the same thing, and then he punched her in the face.
Did you see which hand he used, right hand, left hand? Could you see from where you were?
No,
Okay. You just saw hand go to her face, but you couldn't tell.
I don't remember.
Okay. Were you looking from profile?
So now they're just grabbing at witnesses left, right, and centre. There's one more for the day. This gentleman, I can't remember who he was. Let's see what he has to say. His name is Eric Von Williams.
State your name. What town do you live in? How old are you? Were you part of a group of folks that were tubing down the river, the Apple River, near Somerset back on July 30th, 2022? Was part of that group, did that include Nicolae Miu? Did you know Mr. Miu? How did you get invited to their tubing party?
Coworkers.
Did you know all the folks that were in the group?
Yeah.
Oh, was Mr. Miu a coworker of yours? Was he the only person that wasn't a coworker of yours?
No.
Right. Had you ever spent any time with them before that day?
No.
At some point, as you're going down the river, did one of your party lose a phone?
Yes.
Do you remember who that was?
No, I don't.
Was there any concern by the person who lost the phone?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustained.
Did you hear the person who lost the phone make any comments about that?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustained.
Is your group of tubes, are they connected together
Yes.
with rope?
Yes.
How many tubes did you have, if you remember?
That'd be about 8.
All right. Were you able, as you were going down the river that day, to converse with the other folks in your party? Once the phone was lost, were you able to hear conversation about the phone being lost?
Yes.
All right. Did Mr. Miu at some point indicate that he wanted to go look for the phone?
Yes.
Did you see him do that?
Yes.
All right. At some point, well, first, did you see where he went? Where did he go?
We went down River Go. I don't know how far it was. It was probably a good half, I'll say about 20 yards, 30 yards.
All right. Did you see him near any other groups?
No.
Eventually, did you realize that he was getting close to a group?
Oh. Kind of. I seen him, I don't know if it was an argument, I don't know what it was, I seen him confrontation. And pretty much all the same, I looked away for a quick second. When I looked back, that's when I seen everything going down.
All right.
So I rushed toward him.
Well, you're getting ahead of me, Mr. Williams. So when you saw him,
Again, another witness that saw it from a distance, doesn't really have much recollection and much detail to add. So, how about, we've got a bit of time, how about we skip to, how about we start day 4? Let me see if I can bring this up. Give me a second. And I've got Felix, my demanding Moggy.
Croix County, Wisconsin. We are getting started a few
And
minutes
we
early.
start at 17:10. Oh no, day 4, 14:30.
Who will administer the oath?
Okay. Witness number 1 is Janelle Duxbury. Duxbury. She's now there was the 3 groups, remember? So we had Isaac's group of the 6 young boys. We have the Carson group, which is had Dante and Tony and Quinton and his wife. That's the Carlson group. And then they had the Miu group. Janelle was part of the Carlson group. She is the lady that came in during what's her name? Riley. When you saw on during Riley's testimony, after she'd been stabbed, the lady in the black bathing suit came to help her. This is that lady. So let's full screen that, share it, and go.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Smesdale.
How will you state your name for the record, please?
Janelle Duxbury,
How do you spell your last name?
Duxbury.
What do you do for a living, Janelle?
I work at a factory,
What town do you live in?
St. Croix Falls.
In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Do you recall July 30th of 2022?
Yes, I do.
Were you part of the Carlson family group that was tubing down the Apple River on that day?
I was.
Are you related to the Carlsons?
No.
Friend of the family?
Yes.
Do you? A second.
This is a fairly quick witness too. The next
Yes, you
witness.
Janelle, I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit, I guess, 26A.
The next
Recognize
witness
that?
is one of the
Tell us what it is.
people.
photo of all of us together.
All right, and are you in this picture?
I am in the black swimming suit.
All right.
that did
Are
CPR
you
on Isaac.
Drinking or not drinking?
In that photo, I am not drinking.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you did have some drinks that day, though?
I did.
Can you tell us what you had to drink?
We had stopped at a riverbank. I got offered a shot of butterscotch schnapps, and then I had, I believe it was a Truly's or Budweiser. Actually, it was probably both. I cannot remember exactly what I drank.
You know how many drinks you had?
For sure, the one shot and probably a total of 1 beer. I had been trying different flavors of everybody else's, but I never finished the full beer of my own.
You feel like you were impaired that day?
No.
All right. At some point while your group was going down the river, did you come across a disturbance of some sort?
We did.
What did you see when you first noticed the disturbance?
I was laying back in my inner tube and I was taking a little nap, and all of a sudden my friend Riley had tapped me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, let's go check it out." So I got up and I followed behind her. I could hear a lot of commotion, but I could not make out distinctive voices or what they were saying or anything. And yeah, that's how it started.
When you followed Riley over, did you hear any specific words or phrases?
I did not hear anything specific.
It was fair to say there was some yelling going on.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Did you see Madison Cohen when that occurred?
I did. She was already up there
All
by
right.
the time I had gotten there.
What was Madison Cohen doing?
I actually did hear Maddie yelling, swearing at the gentleman and telling him to get the F out of here.
Okay, which gentleman was that?
Huh?
Who was she yelling at?
Oh, it was Nicolae Miu.
All right. At the time, did you know who he was?
I did not.
You know now?
Yes.
Did you see
Did you see
Maddie yelling at Mr. Miu?
Yes.
And you heard it?
Yes.
Did you see Mr. Miu react in some fashion?
At first he was just standing there kind of like looking at everybody, and then I could not see his hand punch her, but I could see like his left shoulder had dropped like a little bit, and then I could see, I believe maybe it was part of his elbow because Maddie was impairing my view of everything. But I had seen the right side of her face turn towards me, and she kind of stumbled down and got back up and then walked away.
Did you see Mr. Miu's hand or fist make contact with Maddie's face?
I did not see it make contact, no.
All right. You saw the reaction?
Yes.
After Mr. Miu did whatever he did to Maddie, what happened next?
A lot of chaos and yelling broke out. I remember seeing Dante run up immediately and punch him in the face, yelling, "You never hit a woman." I saw Nicolae punch Dante back. Then I believe that I saw Dante hit Nicolae once more. I thought it was a punch, but I did watch the video and later found out that he was smacking him.
All right. Whereabouts were you standing when that all occurred, when Dante hit Mr. Miu?
I was a little ways behind Riley. I don't know any of the boys in the group that I was standing next to, but I was standing back a little ways.
All right.
To the back and to the right of Maddie and Riley, a little ways.
Did you see AJ Martin get stabbed?
I did not.
Did you see Dante get stabbed?
I did not.
Do you know who Isaac Schuman is?
I do. I know of him now, but no, I did not know him.
At the time, did you see Isaac Schuman get stabbed?
I did not.
Did you see Riley Madison get stabbed?
I did.
All right. Can you describe what happened when you saw Riley get stabbed?
She had backed up away from the commotion a little bit, and I had seen Nicolae walk up to him, and then he came and I thought it was like a little punch towards her ribs, and until he had removed his hand, I saw the knife come out of my friend's side.
All right. Can you describe the knife?
It was no more than like 2 inches. It was very small. That's all I could see.
And just so I understand, you didn't see the knife until he removed it from her body?
Correct.
What did he do after he stabbed Riley?
I didn't pay too much attention to him after he did that. I was a little preoccupied and trying to grab her and remove her from the situation. I did take one last look at him. It looked like he was coming towards me, so I and walked away with Riley.
All right. Did you render assistance to Riley?
Yes, I did. I got her back to Q and Sheena and told them to take her downriver and get help. And then when I turned back around, I had seen Tony standing next to AJ, so I ran up to them and I helped Tony drag AJ to the shore. Tried to make sure that they were as okay as they could be before I went to try to go help as much as I could.
Did you see Tony get stabbed?
I did not.
Did you see that he was injured when you?
I did.
We're going to show you some still frames from the video. We're going to start at 28:59.
They basically go through the same thing again. So we'll skip to the next one. This is, luckily there was a nurse on scene and she assisted with trying to resuscitate Isaac. So her testimony is next. 54. Come on, mouse. Never get a wireless mouse. We'll start there.
Taken over a round of compressions for me. I got up and went to check, walked just a few steps further down the river to check the other victim, but
you do or do not have a recollection of seeing
Ms. Baldazzo, would you please come forward? Keep coming. There you go. Please face the clerk, raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Please have a seat in the witness chair.
Same.
Andrea Baldazzo, BAL,
Put in on the Apple River.
where we put in
Yeah, at some point as you're floating down the river, did you become involved with an incident where some folks,
on the river's edge.
did you know who that boy was? By somebody else, do you mean somebody else?
Like, and continue that for
Did you make a,
That's not me. That's the live feed doing that.
a large cut. At first, I thought he had been impaled on the set of roots and branches that were hanging down just prior to that. But then I looked and it was a slash mark, not an impale thing. It was a long and thin and clean cut
where was it located on his body?
on his left chest, upper chest, kind of his ribs.
Right. So what,
I asked, I was doing compressions and people were screaming and it was making me lose count. So I think I yelled out to somebody, shut up or stop screaming, so that I could count. There were other people around. I asked for somebody to get me anything that I could use as a chest seal, Ziploc bag, anything to put over that wound. I didn't want any water or anything getting in there, but I looked down at Isaac and there was some vomit coming from his mouth at some point. So I asked to turn the kid up front to turn his head, which he did. And the kid splashed some water, which got in his eyes. And I said, don't splash water in his face anymore. And it just continued forever. It felt like forever that we did compressions. I kept asking, where's the rig? Why isn't it here yet?
by rig do you mean, what do you mean?
Ambulance.
Do you have an idea now, as you sit here, how long you performed chest compressions on Isaac?
I said 45 minutes because I think I thought that's what it was, but somebody corrected me later that it wasn't. It felt like forever. I mean, we were going and going round after round. Other people were performing compressions. We were singing Baby Shark to keep people on the rhythm.
Or you were taking turns giving him?
Yeah. And at some point, when somebody had taken over a round of compressions for me, I got up and went to check, walked just a few steps further down the river to check the other victim, but it looked to me like they were up and speaking and conscious. So I went back to Isaac because he was not.
Do you have experience dealing with trauma cases?
Yes.
At the hospital where you work, are you involved in trauma care?
I'm primarily a med-surg nurse, but I do float down to the emergency room and involved in code situations.
What's a med-surg nurse?
Med-surg, it's a medical surgical floor. So typically we have post-op patients, anybody from pancreatitis to just a little bit of everything.
Eventually did law enforcement and EMTs arrive?
Yes.
Were you still with Isaac at that point?
Yes.
Was he taken off the river?
Yes.
Did you see any of the altercation prior to you giving care to Isaac?
I did not.
Have you had any other involvement in this case?
No.
Oh. So when you testified earlier that your husband had alerted you that he thought there was some kind of party going on, do you know whereabouts in the river you were?
So where Isaac was laying.
Right. This next witness is Terry Anderson. He is the 911 Emergency Communications Manager.
Mr. Anderson, please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson.
Can you state your first and last name for the record?
Terry Anderson,
And is Anderson EN or ON?
EN.
And how are you employed?
I'm the Emergency Communications Manager for the county.
How long have you been in that role?
Since 2007.
And what are your duties?
Managing the 911 center, making sure all the equipment operates, making sure it's staffed, and control, I shouldn't say controlling, but managing the audio logging of all the radio and phone audio.
So you're also the custodian of records there?
Correct.
And are 911 calls, dispatch logs, are those maintained in the regular course of dispatch?
Yes, they are.
Were you asked to retrieve 911 calls in the dispatch log for this case?
I was.
Did you provide those to the sheriff's office?
I did.
And may I approach?
Yes.
Handing you what's been marked as Exhibit 40. Identify what that is.
This is the log from the 911 system of all the phone calls that came in during that time frame.
Yeah, so he goes through all of the names and how many calls. So basically it comes down to, there was 13 in total. Tatiana rang once, Ashley rang 3 times, Madison rang twice, Tanya rang twice, Emma rang once, Eric rang twice, and I think it's Tucano. I think one of the police officers rang as well. So he basically just goes through the list. So the next witness is John Farrell, who is the sergeant of the Somerset Police Department. So let's have a listen to his testimony at 1:45. There we go.
Please face the clerk, raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson,
Can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name?
John Farrell, Farrell.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the Somerset Police Department
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
since June of 2013.
And do you also have training in first aid or emergency response?
I do. I'm currently licensed as an emergency medical responder.
And were you working on July 30th of 2022?
Yes,
On that day, were you dispatched to the Apple River stabbing?
I was.
What was if you recall, what was the initial information from dispatch?
Initial information was people stabbed on the river, possibly one dead. I believe it was 3 victims as we were responding to the scene.
And did you head immediately to the scene, or did you have to go somewhere else first?
I had to grab a set of bolt cutters out of the PD garage, and then I went to the Sunrise Camp entry and had to cut the lock to get in, and then I went directly to the scene.
And is that the Sunrise Camp entry, is that private property?
Yeah.
And was that the best access to get to where the incident was reported to have happened?
Yeah, there's a road that you can get on off Sunrise Drive in Somerset, and then it'll take you back to where the scene was.
And is that a campground that's in operation or no?
No.
And the owner's given permission for law enforcement to use that when needed?
Yeah, we had spoken to him in the past about it.
Were you one of the first officers to arrive on scene?
I was.
And how many officers, if you recall, arrived there originally?
I don't recall a specific number. I know as I was approaching the scene, I saw a Deputy Durand come down from the highway, and then Officer Stumo was behind me. And there was also another deputy that was behind me that was at the gate when I opened it.
And so can you kind of describe what the situation was when you got to the river?
Yeah, there was, I was being flagged down initially by people at the river bank. As I approached them, I saw one guy come out that was holding his side. It was later determined that he had a stab wound on his side that was being directed down into the river, where a female was sitting in a tube, while bystanders were holding pressure on her left side. When I got down into the river, when I looked at her, I had noticed that I could see what I believed to be her bodily organs outside of her body. Deputy Durand and I worked with bystanders to get her out of the river. During that time, we were trying to determine what was going on. Where's the suspect? There's a lot of information coming in at once, a lot of people in one spot. We were able to get her out. The other person that was there that was stabbed came up as well. I retrieved the medical kit from my squad car, provided some medical equipment to the other officers before I went to the river, and then headed upriver to where the other victims were.
And while you were at the river, when you initially got there, were there still groups of tubers going down the river?
Yeah.
And was there a good crowd of tubers around also?
Yeah.
Did you know who was witnesses, who were just bystanders, or was it kind of just people everywhere?
There was people everywhere. I didn't know who was who. I mean, it was obvious to me who was injured, but other than that, I didn't know who witnesses were, suspects were, what anyone else's involvement was.
Did you have a body cam on?
I did.
Does your body camera indicate the date and the time of the footage on the bottom of the screen?
It does.
Permission to approach?
Yes.
And what's been marked as Exhibit 22, what's that labeled as?
Feral BC video?
BC body cam?
Yes.
Judge, I move to publish portions of it. I'm going to skip around a little bit to not show some of the up-close graphic parts.
So first, any objection to Exhibit 22? All right, received. Go ahead and publish the portions you wish to show. Tell us when you're ready.
Oh, and I'll ask another question. If we watch the first minute, would it just be you driving there?
Yeah.
We're going to start at 57 seconds, Judge. We're going to play to about the 5-minute mark for this first segment.
I got a cutter! A19-Q, call the on-call.
Cut the wrong side, of course. There. Slide.
Show the video.
Good enough?
When you get an opportunity, if you want to have fire rescue states, let them know.
Meet you up there.
If you end up with potential victims on the river, whatever they can do to get access to that. KD-100 will be working on getting the investigators out. 10-4 unit handles ready to. I wasn't aware of that when I talked to him. That's where I'll go. KD-30 Petra, this at Sunrise access is open. Sunrise access? Correct. Open down to the river. That's where 50-50.
Looks like the bridge that he had to go over.
4502
to get.
dispatch should be on scene, just underneath, getting flagged down by people.
So we're paused at 2:53. Can you see the timestamp on the bottom there?
I can.
What's the time?
15:54:45, which is 3:54 p.m.
The time of law enforcement's first arrival on scene?
Yeah. Yes.
Can we have a screen again, please? And 15:54 would be 3:54 p.m.
Yes.
Is that right, what I wrote up there?
Yes.
They're gonna keep playing until about the 5-minute mark.
They're all down where? Keep moving. We have to take the river down.
We got someone who can't move.
Yep, come on up.
We got
Come on,
someone who
you
can't
come up
move.
here.
Go help him. Please.
Yeah, we got one. Where'd the suspect go?
I don't know.
No, but we got.
She got stabbed. Her right there. She got stabbed.
Okay.
And there's two down there yet too. It's shallow water. So you
Yep,
you can
yep,
step in
we're
there.
going,
It's shallow.
we're going.
It's shallow. Y'all can step in there.
Just, we got one stabbing already up here.
The one kid that walked by you is too.
Yep, we saw that. Okay, she got a knife on you?
Can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Gotta go one more cut here. Yep, keep holding pressure.
I know you do. I know you don't.
You're doing good. Keep holding pressure. Okay. That's how people throw the helicopter is overhead and I think we can just pick her up using the tool. She's got a destination here.
The bridge, if you could start a helicopter.
Get this underneath the tube and lift up.
Going.
Under the whole tube? Yeah. She got guts.
We stopped at 4:52. And did you end up assisting to carry Riley out of the river?
Yes.
Where'd you bring her?
Just up to the paved road there by the squad cars.
What'd you do after that?
I retrieved the medical equipment from my squad car and provided it to the officers who were tending to her, the other subject that was stabbed that was sitting next to my squad car, and then I headed into the river.
And we're gonna play from about the 8-minute mark. 7:59 is the timestamp.
We have to get your butt up a little bit here. Yep, yep. Way up. Yep, we're going. Okay. Ready, Chase?
And the guy is still walking up the river.
The suspect?
Yes, he's still having a knife out. He was still stabbing people.
4502 dispatch. We just received information. Suspect still has the knife and heading upriver on foot.
4502 dispatch, I'm just getting up to 06. It does appear that EMS is clear to get up here. Just make sure they know suspect's still at large. We got officers up there at our entry point. If we can get a boat, that'd be great. Yep. Okay, all right. Seals. If you got if you need a seal.
Yeah, I need just got there.
Okay, yep.
We stopped at 10:50. That first victim you stopped at and dropped off a chest seal.
Yeah.
Did you later learn that was AJ, or don't you know?
I don't know.
Okay. You know who that is up in the background there?
Which?
On the bank to the right, that kind of obstructed by other people, but.
The person that's being tended to medically and CPR is in progress. I don't remember his exact name, but I believe his first name was Isaac.
Okay. What did you do after this point?
I went up to the group that was doing CPR on him, and then assisted with that.
Do you eventually assist getting people off the river?
Yeah, when the paramedics arrived, they came up the river, then I assisted in getting him out of there.
How did you get Isaac off the river when you had to wade up like that?
Yeah, a backboard was placed on inner tubes and then floated down the river.
I don't have anything else.
Mr. Trumpy?
Just briefly, I'm sorry. So it appears initially you're in kind of responder, trying to assist mode. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, I'm assuming you're training. You're not, I don't want to say you're not interested, but you're focused on kind of what's going on, and the investigation can kind of happen at a later point.
That's correct. Fair? That's correct.
Okay. At some point, your report indicates that you make it to the village park. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So from what we saw there in the times, how much later or how much time passes until you make it up to village park?
Oh, I don't know the exact time. It's not immediate. It's a significant time, but I don't know the exact time.
Okay. And we heard on the tape that you're getting information as it's kind of coming in. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. When you go to Village Park, are you then starting to maybe switch over from emergency situation to kind of investigative situation? Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And you make contact at Village Park with a gentleman by the name of Eric Williams. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And does he come up to you, or do you go up to him?
I had directed him out of the crowd to come talk to me. There was a group gathered together.
Okay. So did you have some information that he might have information?
I had information that the people in the group may have information, but as to who knew what and who was where, no, I didn't have that until I started talking to him.
Okay. And he had provided you at least some brief information about kind of what was going on, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he had provided you information that he was with Mr. Miu, right?
Yeah, in the same group, yes.
And he had provided you information as to kind of what Mr. Miu was doing.
Yes.
Previously, right?
Yes.
Okay. That he was looking for a phone, right?
That's correct.
Okay. At that point, do not take this as critical. At that point, you don't have any other information as to what had actually happened. Is that fair? What I mean by that is, I know you saw people that had been injured, but how they were injured, the circumstances surrounding that, you didn't have that information, right?
Some of the witnesses on the scene had mentioned stabbing, that's what had happened. But other than that, no.
Okay. And you tell me if this is fair, you locate various pieces of what may be physical evidence.
Yeah.
In your mind.
Yes.
Okay. And that was a shirt and a pair of swim goggles.
Yes.
Okay. Are the goggles like you would see, are they snorkel goggles or are they goggles like a swimmer who's competing?
I don't remember exactly what they were.
Okay. After your interview with Mr. Williams, and you're walking kind of the river, is that your involvement in the case?
Yeah, that's the involvement. Yeah, I was, well, I had been given a ride back, and that's when you said, when I assisted with finding the evidence in the river, the t-shirt, the goggles. So there's that space between Village Park and where the incident actually had occurred, where I initially responded to. So I had gone from there back to that spot, and that's when I assisted in that searching, where I found the t-shirt and the swim goggles.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So after that's done, your involvement in kind of what happened here has concluded. Is that fair?
Yes.
So thank you.
Mr. Anderson, anything else?
Nothing else.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. You may step down. Who is the next witness?
Chase Duran.
Sergeant Duran, please come forward. Please face the clerk, raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Oh, I realized that I was on mute.
Please have a seat in the witness chair.
I was just saying it was Milo o'clock. I needed a Milo, and you should never buy any of these to have with your Milo because they're delicious. Yes, you won't stop. Anyway, let's get back to it. Serious stuff here. This is Chase Durant, the sergeant of the St. Croix Police Department County. And he has some body cam footage with AJ and Dante, I believe. So let's watch his testimony. And then I think we'll...
Mr. Smithstone.
Will you state your name for the record, please?
Chase Durand.
How do you spell your last name?
Durand.
What do you do for a living?
Patrol sergeant with Sheriff's Office, St. Croix County.
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
About 10 years.
How long have you been a sergeant?
About 5 years, I believe.
Can you briefly describe your training to be a police officer?
Basic recruit school, 720 hours. And then attended several other FTO through the department, and then several other schools following that, SWAT school, boat patrol, several other trainings.
Do you have any EMT training?
Yes.
Was that included as part of your law enforcement training or something you did separately?
We receive a basic first responder level training in the academy, and then through our emergency response unit, we receive follow-on medical training from our tactical medics that's assigned to our unit, and have attended a 3-day trauma care training.
Were you working back on July 30th of 2022?
Yes, I was.
Did you get dispatched to the incident on the Apple River?
I did.
What information were you given in the initial call?
It was aired to us from dispatch that there have been several people stabbed on the Apple River, and dispatch said it was near the 64 bridge in Somerset Township.
Where were you located when you first got called?
I was in the Holton area.
About how far away? About how far away?
9 miles.
Did you drive over to the area where the call was coming from?
Yes, I responded emergent, and the area I'm familiar with, there's a private road underneath the bridge with no off-ramp on the highway there on 64. I parked up on top of the overpass and then went down the embankment to the river.
When you arrived, were there other officers on scene?
I first saw Officer Farrell or Sergeant Farrell from Somerset PD.
Do you remember any other officers you saw?
Once I got upriver, when we waded to the river, and then came across Officer Stumo at that location where the 2 victims were in the water still.
All right. So before you get into the river, did you get involved in some of the activities that were going on shore?
Yes. When I first arrived and made my way down the embankment, I came across, it was hectic and there was a lot of people near the bridge. There was one male subject who was able to walk, who had observed what looked like a stab wound. And then I was directed with Sergeant Farrell to to another female laying in her tube that had a wound to her left side. We used my soft stretcher with help of bystanders to evacuate her out of the water up to the road where I passed her off to another deputy arriving.
And after you did that, did you enter the river?
Yes.
At that point, had you been given any information as to who the suspect was or what they looked like?
Once I entered the water, people were yelling that it was a guy wearing scuba gear and he went back upriver.
You didn't have a physical description?
At that time, no.
Were you wearing a body camera at the time that you responded to the river?
I was. On my first arrival with the first 2 victims I came across, it wasn't recording. And then when I checked it going upriver, I had to open up, it was our old body cam system. I had to open up the phone app and activate it. It wasn't turning on with the button.
All right. So if I understand you, part of what you did isn't on your body cam?
Correct.
Would that have been the activities that you were involved in with Sergeant Farrell?
The initial response with the first 2 victims you located, and then once I entered the water to go upriver, that's when my body cam turned on.
Can I approach a witness, Sean?
Yes, you may.
Sergeant, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 43. Can you tell us what that is?
Flash drive.
And how's it labeled?
Durand evidence with 43 on the.
Does it say BC at the top?
Sorry. Durand BC video.
And BC stands for?
Body cam.
I'm going to ask move permission of 43 and ask to publish.
Any objection to 43? Exhibit 43 is received. Go ahead and play it.
Your Honor, again, I'm going to just give a warning that some of the images on this body cam are graphic, so anybody who may be concerned may want to leave.
So members of the jury, what you're about to see is difficult. It is evidence. You may consider it. Watch as much as you can. If you need to avert your eyes for a moment, you may. But I ask that you pay as close attention as you can because this is evidence in the trial. Mr. Smithson.
We're going to start at the 29-second mark. We're ready.
He's so vital. Okay. We'll
You see where the suspect was?
Do you have gauze in there? Do you have gauze at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Have them hold it. He'll hold it. AJ, you hold my hand. Squeeze my hand, man. Squeeze my hand. So good, AJ. You're doing so good. So good. Squeeze my hand right now. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Right now. Right now. So good. So good. So good. So good. Okay. You're right here. You're right here. We're right here with you, AJ. We're right here with you. You hear me?
29 to 19.
I know, AJ. I know, AJ. We're right here. All right.
Go after 19.
We're here for you. We're here for you.
Do you want me to go upriver and start coming down, or I'm at the bridge right now?
You want to start looking for the suspect. I'll work on a description. I heard one person say scuba gear.
You're doing so good, AJ. AJ Martin, huh? What a good name, right?
47 through dispatch. We're doing CPR.
Hold on to me.
47 through CPR.
Did you guys see what happened? Who did it?
47 through dispatch. I know you're busy, but
You know who it is?
No, it's just some rando on the river. He looks 5'9", 5'10", Russian-looking guy.
That's Brittany Carlson.
Short, dark
What was he
hair.
wearing?
Hey, you see him?
Hey!
I think they just went after him. I think he's up there. You get out of there.
Get out! Get out!
Hey, where you guys going? What? We need to know what he looks like. We got a lot of cops in the area. What does he look like?
I don't fucking know.
Hey, we got K9 coming. We can't track him if you guys tear up the whole central. 36.
Was our furthest downriver casualty point?
He's basically just told the young guys that were looking for Nicholas to get off the trail because they're bringing canines in and they'll throw him off the scent.
64 bridge.
Plus, you don't want vigilantes going off half-cocked with someone that has stabbed 5 people. Just saying.
10-4 believed to be going downriver. I can head straight down there.
Negative. Suspect went into the woods at the initial location, a quarter mile upriver from the 64 bridge.
10-4. Did he go off on the north or south bank?
South bank. Decider cars are on.
Chase, do you want me to continue up to you, or do you want me to take my squad up the road further into the woods?
Yep. Up the river. Discression. Eric, just go to the woods. We need this EMS here. Get these people out of here.
10-4. I just talked to rescue. They're working on getting the boat into the water and up to you guys.
Okay. Right. And when you hold his hand,
21 to 29.
Careful, please be careful.
The road is the used up on the riverbank. If you can get guys,
wash it out, buddy.
head that way. The road isn't that far from the river.
You can see here that's AJ who is laying on his back there and they're tending to him. And Dante is also, he's been stabbed, but he's not paying any attention to that. He's by his mate's side. He doesn't even ask for any help. And his dad testified that there was no way you would tear him away. So.
Leave that there, okay? Just leave that there.
AJ, you hold on, okay?
10-4. You'll have to squeeze past their squads and stuff. Copy. I'll point that way.
What the suspect wearing? Swim shorts, clothes?
Swim shirts and a t-shirt.
Okay.
A white t-shirt. I know, he had a t-shirt on for a pot belly.
Older man,
older man. He's in his 50s, 60s. He just has a knife.
46 to 29. Good.
AJ.
I'm just coming through the ridge.
Guys, hold pressure on his stomach.
Perimeter.
Hold what? Pressure.
Yep, I'll go to the end of the Sunrise Trail and we'll link up there.
8819 dispatch. Suspect information.
8819, go with the suspect.
Being told a white male, swim shorts, shirtless, armed with a knife, possibly 50 years old. This person described him as Russian looking.
Do we have a color on those swim shorts?
Negative. Can't get that yet. Also, two of the friends of the person ran off into the woods are looking for the suspects. We have some other people contaminating the area.
For adult male, approximately 50 years of age, shirtless, wearing unknown color swim shorts with a knife, and two friends of victims are out looking for the suspect as well. 1608.
8019 dispatch.
8819.
Disregard. Where did the suspect go into the woods at?
I didn't see that. I had
This way. We have a canine coming.
get stabbed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I saw him before the fight started.
I have a rag. I don't know how much it's going to help,
And then he
but if it's
punched one
going to
of the
help
girls in the
anybody,
face.
Okay.
if you want to apply with another rag.
One here, one there.
44 to 8829.
They don't know. No one knows. They said this region. They don't know exactly where.
I have these two trauma bandage. I got a tourniquet and some quick clot Z-bolt.
His guts are hanging out. The other one, I haven't been over to that one yet.
Let's throw that on his
Here.
head.
44 to 8829. I don't know those frauds. We're just getting out of the 6. Where do you need us?
I think 29 up the road here farther. Try to set up perimeter.
At the end of Sunrise Trail here, it's pretty thick. I'm not going to be able to see much down here. I would say go to the highway and start working on that way. 10-4, we'll be up the highway.
Yeah.
26 dispatch, 10-3, know summer stuff.
Here we go. You're
26 up.
Hold on to me, okay?
8819 to the dispatch.
You too?
8819.
Our two most critical patients are up here, upriver. Is this?
No. You guys see him?
Copy. 8819 has two critical patients upriver. Do you have a team to go to extract them?
I didn't catch that. We're a quarter mile upriver from the bridge. We can see the squads. One, no vitals. CPR in progress.
10-40-19. I believe I have EMS in the area.
Do we have any helicopters en route for Lakeview or Lifelink?
Affirmative. 2 helicopters at this time. 8821 dispatch. About a tenth of a mile upriver from the bridge. We have a male suspect with an abdominal stab wound and a laceration to the leg. We have another male subject with a lateral slash across his passive head. And we have one subject with a stab wound to the chest. CPR in progress. 10-3 victims, 1/10 of a mile upriver. Leg stab. Open abdomen and a chest stab. CPR in progress.
I know I'm annoying.
1680-19.
Go ahead.
Do we need additional agencies to assist with perimeter?
Yes. And I don't know, State Patrol's helicopter was in the area from Minnesota. I don't know if that's something we can utilize.
Don't you let go of my voice. That is it. Hey, you keep talking. You keep talking.
Hey, 16 dispatch. If Richmond's available and see if Polk County can send some deputies down.
Keep talking. Keep talking. You're so
Denver, Richmond, first copy.
Keep going. All right. You got this, baby.
Sergeant Rand, were you able to watch that as we all watched it?
Yes.
At some point in your body cam, did you run up into the woods?
Yes.
What was that all about?
There was movement up in the woods, people yelling at somebody. I ran up there, determined those two people that were going to go try to find the suspect. I told them to come back due to us having canine coming, not to mess up the scent for the dog, and then confuse the perimeter or any type of aerial drone or helicopter assets coming to assist searching.
Did you know who those folks were up in the woods that were looking for the suspect?
No.
Did you see yourself on your body cam saying that they were friends of the victims?
Yes, through the yelling in the crowd, I determined there was some type of relationship with the people.
But as of today, you don't know if they had any connection to these victims?
I don't know their exact connection.
And when you went up into the woods, you asked one of the people up there what the victim or the suspect looked like?
Yes.
And what was his response?
He didn't know.
So it appears that from your body cam, at least, you were coordinating the response to this incident?
Yes.
Is that part of your duties as a sergeant?
Yes, it is.
At the same time, were you trying to get any info you could gather about who did it?
Yes.
And you were able to get some bits and pieces of that information?
Yes, there was a lot of information being thrown at me or people yelling, but one person I had talked to in a yellow shirt had the most amount of information about the suspect.
Were you also in the process trying to set up a perimeter to make sure that the suspect didn't get away?
Yes.
At some point.
All right. We'll end that there because that's just about the end of his testimony. All right. So let's see where we're at. Day 4. We did all of day 3 and we've done the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've just seen Sergeant Chase Durant's testimony. So tomorrow we'll pick up where we left off at Levi Stumo, who is he's also a police officer, but formerly at the Somerset County. So we'll start with him tomorrow. All right. Now I just wanted to show you, if I can bring it up. Where did I put it? A little preview of one of the trials that are coming up in July. I've got another one just before this one, which is, I'll find out when the date of the trial is the Senate hearings on the 16th. So that's the Treehouse murder trial, retrial, because there was a hung jury in January. And so we're still waiting to see if there is going to be a retrial. Hopefully that answer will be forthcoming on the 16th. But in the meantime, have a look at this one.
Man is facing murder charges after he allegedly lined up his 3 young sons and shot them execution style. According to authorities, a woman called 911 on Thursday shortly after 4 p.m., screaming her, quote, babies had been shot. According to a press release from the Claremont County Sheriff's Office, the children aged 7, 4, and 3 were allegedly killed by their father, 32-year-old Chad Dorman, who reportedly told police that one of his sons tried to flee, but he, quote, hunted him down and shot him.
Yes, it's a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy. The 3 young boys. I will give more updates leading up to the beginning of the trial, which begins on the 8th of July. But yes, just heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. So, QZ, without any further ado, I shall bid you adieu. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Oh, look, there goes the feline. It must be nearly 9:30 and he's calling me for bed. All right. Good luck. See you tomorrow.